Now, as I said in the first introduction video, there's a significant block of reading for this unit. Again, it's a very interesting subject, and there's a tremendous amount of research that's been done in this area, and really I think you'll find a lot of these readings to be very informative and actually entertaining. Looking down through our list of assigned reading for this unit, first of all, from High Mountains Rising, 2 chapters, 1, Slavery and African Americans in the 19th Century by John Insko, and then a second chapter by Ronald Lewis called Industrialization. And it's really that second chapter, I think, that lays out a good roadmap for how to approach this unit. Ron Lewis discusses both the first period of industrialization of Appalachia, that is the period before the Civil War, and also makes a segue into the second period of industrialization after the Civil War, railroads, timber, and the coal industry. So certainly pay very close attention to that chapter on industrialization, and I would recommend that you read that before you read anything, because pretty much all the other essays fall into line with what Lewis says. That said, slavery and African Americans in the 19th century, we sort of glossed over that topic in the previous unit, Unit 3, on the Civil War and Reconstruction, but we'll return to it here and take a close look at the types of slavery that one could find in the Appalachian region. And indeed, much of the slavery in the region was linked to industrialization. The book through Net Library, Appalachians and Race, The Mountain South from Slavery to Segregation, actually 2 of those chapters from that book are really summarized in John Insko's piece. But nonetheless, I'd recommend that you take a look at those chapters in Appalachians and Race. The 2 that Insko in your High Mountains Rising book really summarizes and discusses are, number 1, John E. Steely's Slavery in the Kanawha Salt Industry. And of course, that industry employed slaves. It was one of the major industries of the Appalachian region, and in order to draw out salt from the saline deposits of salt underground in the Charleston, in the area in and around Charleston, the Kanawha Valley, they did employ a significant number of slaves. And Steely discusses the particular system of leased industrial slaveries. They rented their slaves there in the Kanawha Valley. And again, John Insko does mention slavery in the salt industry. The second chapter from Appalachians and Race that deal with the period before the Civil War, Charles B. Dew, Sam Williams, Forgeman, The Life of an Industrial Slave at Buffalo Forge, Virginia. Now again, Insko actually cites Charles Dew's research into Sam Williams and has a couple paragraphs on Sam Williams, this nondescript industrial slave worker in the period before the Civil War. He's such a fascinating character, Sam Williams is, that I think it's worthwhile to go back and read the full chapter on Sam Williams. Really, again, a fascinating character, largely unknown, nondescript, but nonetheless very important and a very interesting read. So again, I would recommend that you read that piece by Dew too. But again, start off with that with High Mountains Rising and Insko's Slavery and African Americans in the 19th century. Okay. Then we have a group of readings that deal with the period after the Civil War and the period of intense industrialization. We have a group of readings and some online photographs that deal with that period. Again, in Appalachians and Race, The Mountain South from Slavery to Segregation, the chapter Joe William Trotter, The Formation of Black Community in Southern West Virginia Coalfields, goes right along with what Lewis says about the industrialization of southern West Virginia and the coal-producing regions of Appalachia. However, Joe William Trotter says it in such a very concise and very clear way. Talks about how black coal miners became this this very tight community in Appalachia. Not only was there the diversity in terms of race and ethnicity in Appalachia, but also we have to understand the coal mining communities in terms of gender. And Janet Green, and there is an online article from, again, the Journal of West Virginia History, Janet Green talks about the strategies for survival, about how women played a very important and unpaid part of the economy of coal towns in southern West Virginia. Again, another enjoyable read. Janet Green, as you're going through that article, underscore the ways in which women contributed to the economy of Appalachian coalfield towns. And finally, we will take a close look at the timber industry, and you have 2 chapters from Ron Lewis's Transforming the Appalachian Countryside, Railroads, Deforestation, and Social Change in West Virginia, 1880 to 1920. The 2 chapters, number 1, Workers in the Woods, talks about workers in the timber industry. It's a great read, and you'll notice that there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of day-to-day rituals that timber workers had that have been completely lost to memory in many ways. The second chapter, If Trees Could Cuss, I found in my experience students find a lot to be interested in. If Trees Could Cuss deals with the environmental impact of the timber industry on West Virginia. As you go through those 2 chapters, again, there's a lot of information in those 2 chapters. But in that first one, Workers in the Woods, as you go through, underscore the various types of jobs that could be found in the Appalachian region and the different categories of workers that were in the timber towns. And the second chapter, If Trees Could Cuss, in Transforming the Appalachian Countryside, for there, do underscore, and for the quiz, expect a question about the creation of the Monongalia National Forest. A very interesting topic, and as you go through there, do note that. Okay, just about out of time, so I'll start up another video for the remainder of the assignment.